This is the Sioux City Musketeers Coaches Show. Now here's your host, Curtis Anderson.
Musketeer Coaches Show is right here at Bob Rose Point After. It's where good times gather. It's also brought to you by Johnny Mars and Knife River Midwest. What are two of the three things in common for today about our sponsors? I was at both.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I didn't stop by Knife River, but I was in the Knife River Midwest studios. People come into town and they ask, like Ron and those guys, they're like, where are these studios? I'm like, because they sponsor our studio.
Yeah.
Should have studios over at Knife River. They got a nicer office than over at the station.
I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, they do good things. Anyways, it is the Musketeer Coaches Show. We talk all things Musketeer hockey. Jason Kersner with me, head coach of the Sioux City Musketeers. Went 1-1 this last week, so that puts their record on the season at 14-12, 2-3. That's good for 33 points. Right now, Fargo in first at 45, Lincoln 41, Waterloo at 40, and then Sioux City 33, Tri-City 31, 30 for Sioux Falls, 30 for Des Moines, and then 26 for Omaha. For your Musketeers, we start off with Omaha, a team that has had the number of the Sioux City Musketeers this season for the most part, although there have been close games. But this time around, a 4-1 victory for the Musketeers. What'd you guys do right?
Well, it was good to finally find a way to get 2 points against them. As you know, we've struggled against them so far through the series.
Well, we have a joke now, right? How many times I've heard this joke is like, I hope we don't get up by 3.
Yeah.
And then I say, well, let's stick with 2. 2 is good then.
So what was the final score of that game again?
4-1. You won by 3.
See? So
Yeah.
we got over that one.
Well, it's because you jumped over that one and got a 4th goal.
That's right. Yeah, it was good to I thought for us, like in that game, few things. One, I thought we really did kind of check and return to not giving up a lot. And I thought Axel played a good game, which, I don't know that he was playing poorly in some of those other games. I think it was just kind of combination since we back from break that he maybe wasn't quite as sharp as he was pre-break. And I don't know that we were playing as well as we could have in front of him. So there was a little bit of a struggle there. So I just thought all in all in that game, it was just a good return for him to kind of look as good as we know he can be. And then as for us, I think we only gave up 10 scoring chances in the game, which is just a good number. And then obviously we were able to score 4, which has been a struggle against them just because they have 2 really good goalies. So it was nice to be able to find a way to score a couple on Pash.
Yeah, and you're talking about 10 scoring chances, and you were shorthanded a number of times.
Yep.
And that, to me, boy, I thought you dumped. I hate saying that. You probably had more scoring chances on their power play, did you not?
Yeah, we not just obviously did the penalty kill do a really good job of defending and keeping out. You're absolutely right. We had some. We definitely had some of our better scoring chances on the penalty kill.
Well, in the game, you can look at our scores in there, and I guess I probably should check the record, see what your record is when Ryan Conmey scores a goal. Might be good. I don't know. He's got 17.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, pretty. Kind of. I asked you about him before, and maybe we'll talk about it more than that right now. What makes him deadly? Is it his shot, his velocity, his strength? What right now he looks confident. He's a first-year player. I'm sorry, he's not supposed to be that confident.
Yeah,
No,
I mean that's what makes it so much more impressive is the number of goals for a first-year player. And yeah, I mean he does a lot of things well, but first and foremost, you nailed it. It's the shot. He's a shooter. I would put him up there, honestly, first year, second year, third year, doesn't matter. I think he's one of the better, just kind of pure shooters and goal scorers in the league. And confidence definitely is a part of that. But I think, for me, maybe you would say Mamba mentality. I think that's when you think of like the best shooters in any sport. I don't care if we're talking basketball, ice hockey, but that Ovechkin, Stamkos, man, they don't, you hit a post, you miss, you get a save. They're shooting it next time.
It's ice water.
Ice water. They want it again, and they'll just the more they miss, the more they want it. The more they want to shoot it again. So I just think he has a little bit of that mindset. There are days and times when he doesn't. I think just that's probably the normal kind of growth process for a young player in this league. But he's a goal scorer.
Well, you had that. I think we talked about Max last time, and He's getting. I guess it's really nice that he's getting rewarded with points because he's done well despite no points
Yeah,
early.
yeah. Well, I mean, you pointed him out last week as a guy that caught your eye in the previous weekend set, and we agreed, and I was just happy for him to kind of keep going. And I thought, obviously, I mean, it ended up being the game winner, but his goal was huge for us. I liked our start in the Omaha game. I thought we were a little bit sluggish in the second period. I just thought that we didn't have the same kind of push and kind of control of the play, and it was we weren't giving up a ton, but we weren't really getting much done there in the second. And then, that goal he scores late is a big one to kind of give us the lead heading into the locker room. So just another big time play by him.
Yeah, and then Hodson does Hodson, and Poitras does Poitras, and I like the way they get to the net.
Yeah. Well, and then again, I slow. That second period was slow, and then we score, and then of course
Confidence level came up.
Yeah,
you
it
could
did.
see the jump.
Yeah. Well, the only disappointing part was we get the penalty at the end of the second,
and you had to
kill
that
that off, and then we take one at the start of the third. You can comment on whether you think they're all penalties or not. I'll stay off that. But so we did have to, after getting the lead to 2-1, we had to kill off 4 minutes. And I think we got, again, another really good kill, and we had some chances on it, gave us a little bit of momentum. And then I really thought that we played well again for the rest of the third period. And it was obviously good to score some goals, but I just liked our game.
Well, I liked the game, and you push it forward. You got the win. That was awesome. We'll move forward. If I want to talk about the officials, we'll talk about it for Saturday.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah,
to say the least. Saturday is the Fargo Force, and it was interesting because I talked to so many people about this. It felt like a third game in 3 nights. It
felt like Sunday afternoon.
Sunday afternoon, really, for both sides.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
It wasn't just your side. I'm not being that. There was something flat about it.
It was a boring game.
Yes,
it was.
I gave the old yawn sign over to Connor, and Connor was sleeping next to me. I don't know what he was doing. But
I thought we were a little flat. I thought they were a little flat. I thought the building, our fans were a little flat, and not. They were there. It was a pretty decent number of people there. You know who
wasn't flat? Ben Durant.
No, not him.
Is he ever flat?
He's not.
Well, he was like 3 years ago. I remember that one game.
He's not that flat. But yeah, so it just and I'm not blaming our fans. I think I don't know that either side gave them.
You didn't propel them. They didn't propel you.
Nobody. Everybody was just kind of waiting around for somebody to give something. And like Fargo didn't do anything that gave our fans negative energy. Right? There was just everybody was just kind of there. So it did feel like that Sunday afternoon game, and obviously. There was a lot to like. I think about, even though it was a flat game. It was maybe more of a structure, a posture game. And I think we did some good things. We didn't give up a ton against Fargo. There's a reason why they're the best team in the league. So to be able to hold them down to 4 and not a ton, I think was positive. But the flip side of that is same thing. They did a nice job, and we didn't get quite enough, and we weren't able to get on the power play to create any momentum, and. It just it might have been just a little bit. We need more energy and more push if we're going to be able to continue to beat a team like that, because they're really good.
Usually don't like criticizing for lack of penalties, but that got a little bad. The check from behind right in front of your bench.
Yeah,
God love Kevin Hurley. I think he replayed it like 7 straight times.
Yeah.
And I don't. If it's a little stick stuff, I don't really care.
Yeah.
But that one, your guy could have lost like his whole front teeth.
It felt like there was a play or two in there that we might have gotten on the power play, but
that one in particular.
That one. Yep.
Yeah. And maybe the ref was out of position. No, he was flat straight at that screen.
Yeah, he was on the. You could see him in the replay too.
He saw it better than our replay.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people were upset with lack of calls, but and of course the home fans or whatever the case is are only going to see lack of calls against their team, right? There's been some. I mean, I might have given you a penalty right before Max Strand scored on Friday. the trip.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
I those little things. Was
Yeah.
it a big thing? No. So I mean, but it's the physical plays. I would have given a penalty 10 times out of 10 to their guy running your goalie on Saturday
Yep.
without a puck in his hand. He was looking for a deflection, and I'm not saying he was trying to run your goalie over, but he smoked him straight on without a puck.
That was another interesting one. It was, the explanation was that he was out of his crease, and
He was not out of his crease.
I would tend to agree with you.
There is not a chance he was out of his crease, by the way, because the play was coming from the opposite side. He was cutting his angle perfectly, and he was going backdoor right and smoked him.
Those two plays that you bring up,
Yeah.
I think most times you find yourself on the power play, but
Yeah,
wasn't to be
well,
on Saturday.
that one I've seen so many times. Like you sneeze on a goalie and you might get a major.
Yeah.
I mean it's. I don't have a problem with that guy smoking your goalie if he's got the puck in his.
Yeah.
And if he's coming in the crease with that puck, hey, tough. It's play at the plate.
Yeah.
But because I've seen that, but not without the puck out of the crease. Come on, he was just grasping at straws. He's like, I think he's out of the crease. I don't know, but he might have been. Come on.
I mean, it was obviously we get to go back and look at the video in between periods, and
sometimes you might even say, "Hey, Croy, get a little further out of your."
Yeah.
He should be further on that angle or something out of it. He's in the crease. It's okay. Anyways, that's my my complaints for the day. I like the fact I love 5-on-5 hockey with your team and anybody, but there's a couple of those that you just
listen, you just want. I mean, it like you said, the games where both teams have 5-6 power plays, I think it takes away from the game, and it takes away from your, like to your point, especially our team. We like to be a 4-line team and let our guys get in some rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the special teams, not everybody plays on them, so it can pull guys in and out, and just it's harmful for them to just get their feet wet and develop some not just team but individual momentum throughout a game. So I think sometimes it's too many, but we had one in the entire game.
Yeah.
And felt like we could have, certainly in that kind of game, to your point, where it was a little bit of a flat game, sometimes you need a boost like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it might have been the power play that could have maybe helped us get going. We only had the one, and we had a couple good looks on it. And it would have been nice to maybe see if we could keep building on it.
Yeah, well, it can change momentum, all that kind of stuff. And my whole plea is, like, if you call that physical penalty early on, you might not have to call it again because it's being called, because there's absolutely nothing against Fargo. Fargo did, if you don't get called,
it's not a penalty.
It's not a penalty. So yeah, I think I like the way Fargo plays. I love their hard style.
Yeah.
And it does bring out hardness on the other. But really, this one was different, though.
Yeah.
I thought Croy played a great game, too.
Yeah.
I thought both Mangbo and Croy had really nice games
we
this weekend.
We had good goaltending this weekend out of both guys. And that's when right before break, that's really what we were getting. So it's good to get both of those guys. And you'll need, as you know, we're now at the midway point, so there's still 31 to go. And one of these guys is not going to play 31 games, so you're going to need both guys to be able to get to where you want to get to.
Well, knock on wood, it's just for rest. You can't play because you need a little rest, not for other reasons.
Yeah.
Let's get a break in the Musketeer Coaches Show at Bob Rose Point After, brought to you by Johnny Mars and Knife River Midwest on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS.
This is the Sioux City Musketeers Coaches Show. Now here's your host, Curtis Anderson.
Musketeer Coaches Show is right here at Bob Rose Point After. Curtis Anderson, Jason Kersner. We talk Musketeer hockey. Musketeers have 2 games again this week. And let's try that home and home again. Is it, okay, just your personal opinion, would it be better to be on the road on Saturday for the Musketeers or Friday as a rest or group-wise?
Way better. We have the tougher side.
I think the Musketeers in the front office wants a nice Saturday. I love a Saturday at home too. But for you guys, kind of explain.
Well, it feels like 2 road trips, right? So we got to obviously drive to Lincoln, and then we got to turn around and bus right back.
So you have 2 trips. They have 1 before they're done playing.
That's right.
Because the trip home on Saturday doesn't count.
Doesn't count. So yeah, we just have the extra. We have the extra travel. So and it just turns out, I don't know how the schedule gets done. It just turns out that almost all of our home and homes are like that. So that is part of our just the uphill battle and the challenge that we have to face. And obviously, like you said, there is an advantage. Generally in this league, a Saturday home game is a little bit better for the crowd and those kind of things. So we're happy to. We love playing at home and in front of our fans and those kind of things. So there is some benefit there.
Yeah, I was just talking about in general as
but from if you're a player, this is way harder.
Because who cares after your last game? You can sleep till Monday.
Yep. So the extra travel, and it just for us, that's something that we just need to be as a group. It is what it is. It's not a complaint. That's the reality that we have to deal with, and we have to be cognizant of it and work very hard as it relates to our energy and how to handle that. If you're Lincoln, you don't have that challenge coming in to this weekend, so it just means that we need to be just that much better and smarter with how we practice and how we train and how we recover and the decisions that we make and how we sleep and obviously leading into it and then through the weekend and these guys have to take extra measures and precautions to how they what they eat and bring on the bus and water, just all of those things. Hey, we have a lot of them, so it's not an excuse. We just have to learn to be really good at it.
I don't mind this one as nearly as much as I'm going to mind the Fargo home and home.
That's interesting.
That's dumb. That's just plain dumb.
I didn't know that was like
a thing,
even an option. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, apparently it is.
Because I know we have another trip at Fargo where we're
there for 2 games in February.
Yeah, so that one makes sense.
Yeah.
Home and home with Fargo. I
would have preferred to play like back to back this last weekend. Call it off for our home games. Play Saturday, Sunday. 3-3 for both. Good.
I was surprised.
Then you don't have to do home and home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Scheduling is better. I mean, I can tell you some stupid scheduling.
Yeah.
I remember going to Sioux Falls and then packing the bus when we went to Green Bay for the next day.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it was a little bit different when you had the other conference involved.
Well, yeah, but that's still dumb.
That's still dumb anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Let's go to Kearney and then how about Youngstown the next day?
Yeah. I just didn't realize that would even be an option. I just assumed that coming into this that those Fargos and Tri-City trips would be whether we play them there or they come here, and it's more of a hotel kind of thing. But
oh well,
all good.
Well, we'll complain about that when that comes up. Do you remember? You remember how to play Lincoln? You remember this team? It was I think the last time you played them was 10 games into the season, maybe.
Yeah, it was a while back. I vaguely remember it. I remember it because Luke was there. Those are kind of some of the highlights. I remember that we played a good game and didn't get a result. I think
Whitehead's good.
They have two things. One, they have a very good team. They can score.
Ludke, Marcellus, those guys.
Yeah, they have some really good.
Peters is good.
Exactly. So they have some really good players, but there's no doubt they also have a very good goalie. And as I recall in that game, we did some good things, but we just couldn't. We just couldn't score enough.
Yeah. No, they come to town and in a different style again. I mean, everyone has their different style. It's just I think Sioux City struggled against them early last year and then kind of figured out if you don't turn the puck over at your blue line, it's a lot better results for some reason. I have no idea how that correlates.
Certainly helps. I think I once learned that from Rake. But I don't know that it matters if who you play. I think you want to make sure you're not turning the puck over at either blue line.
Yeah, well, that one in particular is. I think last year we got like pumped 4-0 out of the gate, where it was like, what just happened? We've been playing good hockey until now.
Yeah.
And but they're an aggressive team that does kind of crazy things.
They're aggressive, and like you just said, they have some really good offensive players.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be.
They want to come downhill.
They do, and it'll be. Listen, this is what you and I have talked about just with the schedule. I mean, this is for us a really good opportunity to continue to grow. I mean, the only way that we're going to continue to grow and be ready to A, try to make the playoffs, and B, try to be good when we get there,
Mm-hmm.
is to test ourselves against these teams. I mean, we had Waterloo, Fargo, Lincoln. These are really, really good opponents, and it's a good opportunity for us to continue to learn about ourselves. We hadn't played these teams as much, right? It's feel like we only
Oh,
play Sioux
Waterloo
Falls.
right away.
So
Yeah, we do.
yeah. So good to get in there and play some of the best teams.
Well, let's take a break. We'll come back and talk some more. It's interesting, of course. Some transactions are going on in the league on teams that they're ready to sell for next year already, and it's a tough decision when they have to do that. But they look forward to high-end draft picks. So we'll talk about that a little bit when we come back. The Musketeer Coaches Show here on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS.
This is the Sioux City Musketeers Coaches Show. Now here's your host, Curtis Anderson.
It is the Musketeer Coaches Show. It's right here at Bob Rose Point After. It's where good times gather. Curtis Anderson here, along with the head coach of the Sioux City Musketeers. That's Jason Kersner. And, Madison is looking for the future, and you make that decision. They probably were thinking, hey, we have a long ways to go, and we really have some good parts. And those two parts were really good players.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to the inner workings of Madison and what they were thinking or not thinking, but obviously they did have, amongst other ones, but they're probably their two top players that are really, really good players, as you mentioned, have both been moved, and one to Chicago and one will be getting an opportunity to play against quite a bit more here.
We've seen them.
Yep. So
we'll see him again. I think we shut him down too.
Yeah, which is hard to do. That's a player that scores a lot of goals, and we were able to keep him off the board when he was playing for Madison. So we'll have our hands full the next time we play Waterloo.
I think, Waterloo's getting bad. They are a terrific team.
Yeah, I mean, you and I had spoke leading up to playing them, and just really have a lot of respect for that team. I think it's just a good combination, well-rounded team, good goalies, great decor. I thought they had really good forwards to begin with, and now obviously they've added two pieces.
Caden Brown's terrific.
Yeah, Brown and Namatika. So it's and I think they're also a really well-coached team. I think they have a clear identity about themselves. They play, and then as you and I spoke, we know that it's also they get a little bit maybe additional home ice advantage. Just obviously
they know how to play on the
They
Olympic
know how
sheet.
to play on the big sheet.
Or they know how to take advantage.
They know how to take advantage of it, and it's a loud building. It's fun building. So it's they got a good thing going right now, and they're going to be a handful.
Is this early? Making I don't know. Our season goes by. It's a long season, but right around now it starts picking up on all these things. When is like trade deadline and stuff?
Yeah,
like
I mean
that?
it's really kind of mid-February, so you kind of have a month here to kind of. So you could say it's a little bit early because it's still kind of they're doing that stuff 4 or 5 weeks to go. I have no idea what the East standings are or if it was a good time for them or not, but it's good for the teams that did it because it gives them a little bit extra time. If you're Chicago or Waterloo, to get instead of just doing it mid-February, you get the guys in a little bit earlier and try to acclimate them to your group and how you want to play. So
and Madison made they have 18 points. They're not going to make the playoffs because the next place is 32. And so they got good pieces, and so they get rid of the pieces that are not coming back. Start playing the young guys. Start doing that stuff. Start working them in, and then cash in on it. It's just interesting that as a team, let's say Waterloo, or a team like Chicago, how much is too much, and does it get you there? I mean, I've seen where it has. Like last year, I thought Carfagna was a monster pickup. Fowler was a very solid one, but Carfagna on defense for the Musketeers was worth on that one.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to ask Andy and Luke about it. I mean, I obviously watch from afar, but
I mean, does it add to
Yeah, I mean,
because
listen, it's a great point by you, and I think those are the really, and whether I know, like, I'm clearly involved with that. Luke was involved with that. But we have Troy, you had Andy. Ultimately, those are the guys that you're really trusting to kind of make that decision, because we as coaches don't have as much now, don't get an opportunity to see these players. No difference than when Hodson comes to us. That's a player I had never seen play, right? So you're really trusting in at that time Andy, and now Troy, and we have other people that were still here, a part of Andy, that now work with Troy, and people like Sean Clark and Tyler Hulsky that are very involved in that. So you put your faith and belief and trust in those guys, and it's important that you hire the right people, and that's, I think, one of the great strengths of Sioux City. And
but how much is too much?
Yeah, well, that's you got to strike that balance.
Here's the thing: if Waterloo doesn't win the Clark Cup, it was too much.
I agree with you.
At least the fans are going to say that,
Yeah, but, hey, we're going to tell ourselves the story that they've done a good job, but it's too much, and there's only one puck, and they can't all be on the power play at the same time. We're going to hope that they've overdone it, but I don't know. Listen, they
put themselves in a good position, obviously, but it's always that backside. We compensation later. That means a player, because money's money, but at least if you're paying such an amount of money, that money doesn't get inflated or deflated later on.
Yeah.
But a player could.
Hey, listen, draft picks, players, and those kind of things, they matter. Yeah, I mean, that's how the players that we have on our team, that's how they got here.
Yeah.
You see a trade here and there. Obviously, that's been a part of what goes on here. But the players that are on our team were the players that Andy and Luke and their staffs have identified and drafted and brought here, and that's going to be how it's going to go here for the future. Now it's Troy and his staff that are doing it, and these draft picks and these affiliate lists, they matter. These are the players that are going to be the future of the Musketeers. So, hey, if you're Waterloo or whoever that's giving up a ton for these players, there's a lot of thought that goes into that. But I think the guys in Waterloo do a good job, and I'm sure they had
maybe they have enough picks that can fit in. And I'm not putting down these picks. I mean, if you win, it's great. You're making a run. You want to enhance just a little. You don't want to change the dynamic of your team, but throw these. I remember the Musketeers one year traded for the top scorer on Tri-City. Okay. He came over to Sioux City. By the way, I won't mention names, but he was a really good player. I believe he's in the NHL now. But he came over. He scored so much in Tri-City. Looks like a great fit. We added that. But he's got to get the puck then. Your point came out on that one where in Tri-City, he shot 10 times more than anybody because he was their best player. In Sioux City, he wasn't their best player, but he was a top 6. So he didn't get as many fires on net, meaning his production wasn't as good.
Yeah. And listen, that's
it's just that's what these GMs are great,
There's the art and the science, right? And I think that's the art, and that's where, to your point, you got to give Andy and Luke and the guys that were involved last year so much credit, because they bring in Carfagnan. There's no guarantee that these things are going to work, to your point. And
different style from Green Bay to Sioux City too.
So that's where Andy and now Trey, these guys they really do. They do a lot of homework, a lot of thinking. Obviously, watching and trying to find the whether it's position or a skill set that might be missing, that you can put your team over the top. But they do a lot more than that. They're speaking to their former coaches. What kind of kid is he? What kind of teammate is he? Because to your point, you need all of that to fit in. You can't bring in a guy just because he's a good player. If he's not going to fit in the room and he's not going to be accepted by the group, it's not going to work. And I think obviously those guys did an amazing job of that here last year. And without those moves, I don't know. You can ask them if they feel like they get a chance to win or not without it. But obviously,
you had the right group already.
Yeah.
But little cherries. Owen Fowler, was that going to work? He picked up a lot of penalties in Omaha. He picked up a lot of penalties in Sioux City, backing his teammates.
Yeah.
And that created an environment too.
Totally.
I mean, he could score and all that. I love the kid, but he was a team guy.
Yep.
And that's just as important as other stuff, And but we can mention all these names. Sioux City didn't have the most skilled team last year, but they had the best team.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they obviously had some really good players and some really good talent, and a couple of those, you bring over Carfax, they do that stuff. But that's again, I think, to your point, Tri-City might have been on paper the best team. So
Yeah.
you have to have talent, you have to have a good team to be competitive, but you got to put it all together, and that's where Luke and the staff, I think, just did an amazing job of keeping it all together and finding a way to get over the top.
Apologize, I didn't bring him up, but just a couple of seconds. I think Ren Morquay is fitting in nicely.
Yep, we're excited about him. Obviously, he hasn't had a ton of time here, so we're excited about his future. Just ability now to practice way more and kind of fit into the group. So yeah, he's off to a good start.
Friday at Lincoln, Saturday at home. Oh my goodness, it is our Mountain Dew Day. Dew City, baby.
City.
Gosh, I forgot to bring that up. We'll talk more during the show.
Jersey auction.
There you go.
You keep talking about it.
Yeah, for a great cause. So, out of time, Fox Sports Radio 620, KMNS, Sioux City.